Sarah, thank you very much. Is she great?
Making their way. Wow. I have never seen anything like this before. I don't know how close they are. Let's just obviously stay on these live pictures and see if these men are going to cross over and head.
Never a stranger to the spotlight, business tycoon and former reality TV star Donald Trump has been a lightning rod for controversy as far back as some can remember. But how did it come to this? After years of hinting at presidential aspirations, on December 15, 2014, Trump finally announced that he was seriously considering a run for the office of President of the United States and would make his final decision before the coming spring.
Getting into politics as a candidate, running for president, or you're not sure yet?
Well, I've been building buildings all my life. We've done a great job, as you understand. And one thing about David, if he didn't think we did a good job, I wouldn't be here tonight. That I can tell you. But we've done a good job, and I am considering it very strongly.
Already a fixture on the conservative speaking circuit, having delivered keynote speeches at the 2012 North Carolina State Republican Party Convention and 2014 National Press Club Luncheon, Trump had been regarded by many on the political landscape as nothing more than a meddling gatecrasher, more entertainment sideshow than legitimate political threat. But, as evidenced throughout his years in the public eye, the resolve of one Donald J. Trump is not something to be underestimated. In 2015, shunning the big money overtures of network television, Trump dove straight into the presidential fray with the headstrong verve and tenacity previously reserved for his real estate and financial dealings, employing a take-no-prisoners approach aimed directly at the heart of America and the working men and women who call it home.
And they said recently, like a few months ago, they said, please don't run. We've renewed The Apprentice. It did great. We had a good last season. Even after 12 years, 14...
His campaign slogan was clear and concise, striking a chord with many throughout a deeply divided land. Make America great again.
Make America great again. That I can tell you. That I can tell you.
Born on June 14, 1946 in Queens, New York, Donald John Trump was the fourth of 5 children. Donald's father, Fred Trump, would go on to set the stage for his son by becoming one of New York's premier real estate developers. Enrolled in the New York Military Academy at age 13, Trump would later state that the NYMA gave him more military training than a lot of the guys who go into the military. Graduating in 1968 from the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business with a bachelor's degree, Trump was unsuccessful in his first foray into show business as co-producer of the 1970 Broadway flop, Paris Is Out. By 1971, he joined his father in the family business and relocated to Manhattan, where he began to oversee multi-million-dollar construction projects, eventually creating the world-famous Trump Tower, Trump Taj Mahal, and Trump International Ocean Club Hotel and Tower, among others, as well as acquiring and developing several million square feet of prime Manhattan real estate. In 1982, Trump was featured on the initial Forbes list of wealth with an estimated personal value of $200 million. Later in the 80s, he acted as financial advisor for then world heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson, who would return the favor years later by publicly endorsing Trump, the presidential candidate.
He should be president of the United States.
At a Janesville campaign rally, former Miss Wisconsin Melissa Young appeared to thank Trump for all his work and for changing her life. It was a rare and public emotional moment as Trump left the stage to embrace Young, who revealed she was battling terminal cancer. In 2015, Donald Trump, the author, added to his long list of published books, with perhaps his most important title to date, Crippled America: How to Make America Great Again, released by Simon & Schuster. The book would lay bare the candidate's ideas on the current state of his country and serve as a siren to those running opposite him. As with everything he undertook, the message was big, uncompromising, and in your face. Losing wasn't going to be on his agenda, and being anything less than extraordinary simply wasn't in his DNA as an American.
We wrote a book, and the title, Crippled America, is very tough, but unfortunately,
we have to do what we have to do. And I think one of the reasons we've been doing so well in the campaign is because we tell it like it is. We tell the truth. And America is crippled. We owe 17 and now 18, and now it's actually very soon going to be $19 trillion in debt.
From the outset, Trump stayed true to his rebellious reputation, making himself available to mainstream and fringe media outlets alike, as evidenced by his no-holds-barred one-on-one interview with controversial truther Alex Jones of
Iran is getting the
InfoWars.
oil. Everybody's getting everything but us. So we lost thousands of soldiers. We spent $2 trillion in Iraq. We have wounded warriors who I love all over the place. And what do we get out of it, Alex? We had nothing. We had nothing. So,
no, the French and the Germans are getting the oil, and the Iranians are getting the oil.
and you know who the number one customer for the oil is? Guess what? China.
That's right.
How smart is China? They outsmart us on every level militarily. They outsmart us on trade. Like, we're losing. We have a $450 billion trade deficit with China.
Let me ask you
Appearing on the Today Show, Trump outlined his commitment to bring jobs back to America, strengthen the U.S. military, and bring an end to open border chaos in the southern states.
When people see that I'm going to bring jobs back to this country, when they see that I'm going to strengthen up the military, when they see that I'm going to have strong borders like nobody else can have, and we will build the wall, and Mexico will pay for the wall, by the way. But when they see that we're getting rid of Obamacare, which is a total disaster, and we're going to be replacing it with something good. When they see we're going to get rid of Common Core, which is also likewise a total catastrophe, and we're bringing education locally so it can be run by local communities and the parents of the children, and it's going to be wonderful and beautiful and much better. When they see what we're going to do, and maybe above all, when they see we're going to we are going to make some of the great trade deals. Every deal we have is a total disaster. Our country's losing a fortune.
In August of 2016, the already larger-than-life Trump entered the presidential debates in grand fashion, stymieing and neutralizing early frontrunners and opponents like Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Ben Carson, and Rand Paul, all while making for a arresting spectacle. The viewing public was undeniably engaged, and the 2016 Republican presidential debates delivered their highest network ratings in years, surging to a 16.9 million-strong viewing audience. Trump made it look simple, dispatching more experienced politicians with relative ease, and a straight-talking, everyman style that wasn't the norm in Washington.
First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls, and how he got up here, there's far too many people. Anyway, as far as temperament, and we all know that, as far as temperament, I think I have a great temperament. I built a phenomenal business with incredible, iconic assets.
This is a tough business to run for president.
I know. You're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is
real
principled.
tough.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the presidency.
Let's see. I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so
Doesn't matter.
far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
The single biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush. You are the single biggest liar.
All right.
This guy lied. Let me just tell you. This guy lied about Ben Carson when he took votes away from Ben Carson in Iowa. And he just continues. This guy will say anything. Nasty guy. Now I know why he doesn't have one endorsement from any of his colleagues.
All right, John, I get to respond. Pick from the buffet there.
He's a nasty guy.
Donald has this weird pattern. When you point to his own record, he screams, liar, liar, liar. If you want to go
Where did I support it? Where did I support it? Hey, Ted, where did I support it?
If you want to go and watch the video, go to our website,
Ted,
tedcruz.org.
Where did I support it, Ted?
Out of Donald's own mouth.
Where did I support it? We have a country where to assimilate, you have to speak English. And I think that where he was and the way it came out didn't sound right to me. We have to have assimilation. To have a country, we have to have assimilation. I'm not the first one to say this, Dana. We've had many people over the years, for many, many years, saying the same thing. This is a country where we speak English, not Spanish.
So hotly contested were these debates that not even Fox News moderator Megyn Kelly could avoid mixing it up with the ever-blunt candidate Trump, resulting in some entertainingly off-the-cuff moments.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't. Your Twitter account...
Thank you.
For the record, it was well beyond Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
Your Twitter account has several disparaging comments about women's looks. You once told a contestant on Celebrity Apprentice it would be a pretty picture to see her on her knees. Does that sound to you like the temperament of a man we should elect as president? And how will you answer the charge from Hillary Clinton, who is likely to be the Democratic nominee, that you are part of the war on women?
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either. This country is in big trouble. We don't win anymore. We lose to China. We lose to Mexico, both in trade and at the border. We lose to everybody. And frankly, what I say, and oftentimes it's fun, it's kidding, we have a good time, what I say is what I say. And honestly, Megyn, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
Speaking on Capitol Hill in September, Trump took President Obama directly to task for his controversial Iran deal and informed the gathered crowd exactly how he'd negotiate America's dealings abroad.
We are led by very, very stupid people. Very, very stupid people. We cannot let it continue. We are a country that owes $19 trillion. We lose everywhere. We lose militarily. We can't beat ISIS. Give me a break. We can't beat anybody. Our vets are being treated horribly. It will change. We will have so much winning if I get elected that you may get bored with winning. Believe me. I agree. You'll never get bored with winning. We never get bored. We are going to turn this country around. We are going to start winning big league on trade, militarily. We're going to build up our military. We're going to have such a strong military that nobody is going to mess with us. We're not going to have to use it.
Talking to Fox Business in October, Trump detailed his plans to repeal Obamacare, a plan which had deeply divided much of the nation.
I would repeal Obamacare instantaneously and replace it with something much better, privately done. We get rid of the lines, the artificial lines around each state so that insurance companies can compete with each other. The insurance companies have made a fortune on Obamacare. I would get rid of Obamacare and replace it with something much better.
Speaking to CNN's Aaron Burnett in November, Trump delivered his typically unfiltered views on immigration, taking particular aim at Republican opponents like Marco Rubio.
On this one point, though, of deporting 11 million people, even Marco Rubio today said this morning it can't be done.
What do you mean, even Marco Rubio? Marco Rubio is in favor of amnesty. He was a member of the Gang of Eight. He was always in favor of amnesty. He was in favor of people pouring into the country. Then what happened is when people found that out, he sank like a rock in the water.
Well, he says he's for anyone with a criminal record, people like that.
Now he's saying things different.
Which is something that you would support.
He's much different now than he was in the past, okay? He's much different. Now, as far as criminal, they're going to be out so fast. If I win, you know, we have tremendous problems. I just gave you an article where an illegal alien ran over today in Texas. A policeman 3 times just kept running him over. Look, we have problems.
Appearing at a March rally in Ohio, Trump made the case for why he'd make a better president than his party rivals, electrifying the enthusiastic crowd that had gathered to greet him in a festive airport hangar as he exited his plane.
Mr. Trump, right over there, Eaton Corp going to Mexico. Right over there, Ford going to Mexico. Then he pointed over here. He pointed to 2 or 3 other places. And I said, wow, that's sad. And that's what's happening, folks. That's what's happening. With me, it's not going to happen anymore. We're not going to be the dummies anymore. We're not going to be the dummies anymore. You're losing your jobs. You're losing your income. You're losing your factories. They're going to China. They're going to Mexico. Japan is killing us with the cars. Now it's Vietnam. It's India. It's everybody. We don't make good deals anymore. We don't win anymore. If you think we don't win anymore, where do we win? We lose on trade. We lose with the military. We can't beat ISIS. We can't beat ISIS. Here we have military, and we can't beat ISIS. We don't want to use our military. We don't know how to win anymore. It's not even in our culture anymore. You know, the old expression, to the victor belong the spoils, right? We should have never gone in, and I did not want to go in. Believe me, I said you're going to destabilize the entire Middle East. But they went into Iraq. It was a mistake. They went in. Mistake. Now Obama gets out. The way he got out was so bad. He puts out a date. The enemy says, wow. They couldn't even believe it, I guarantee you. He puts out a date when we're leaving. Bad thing to do. In all fairness, we shouldn't have been there, but we should have left some troops behind so that what happened wouldn't happen. So Iran is taking over, as you stand here, Iran is taking over Iraq. Iraq has the second largest oil reserves in the world. So the Iran deal, I used to say one of the greatest deals I've ever seen is the Iran deal. But actually, the greatest deal I've ever seen is what happened just now. Iran is taking over Iraq. Second largest oil reserves in the world. That's the greatest deal. They've been fighting with Iraq forever. Forever. And they go 10 feet one way, 10 feet the other way, 10 feet, then they rest. Then they go again. For years and years and years they fought. But they were the same. They were equal military strength. Saddam Hussein would drop gas. They'd complain, they'd drop gas. This went on forever. And then we obliterated one of the two powers, and it was obvious. To me, it was obvious. And I said, don't do it. You're going to destabilize. Now Iran is taking over Iraq. Iran is going in with Yemen. Now, they don't want Yemen. What they like is that long, big, beautiful border that separates Yemen from Saudi Arabia. And I've been really pretty good in these predictions. You know, when I wrote a book in the year 2000, The America We Deserve, I mentioned in the book Osama bin Laden. And everyone said, don't forget, that was a year and a half before the World Trade Center came down. And everyone said, I don't believe it. One of the big announcers in the morning, great guy, he said, wait a minute, because they brought the book. They said, you know, Trump was talking about Osama bin Laden before he knocked down the World Trade Center. And the guy said, no way, let me see. They looked at the book. That's right. That's what I did. We had to take him out. We had opportunities to take him out. So I'm pretty good at the prognostication. And I'll tell you, 4 years ago, and a lot of you are supporters, and you're supporters before I did this whole crazy political thing, okay? We've been supporters and friends for a long time. But you've seen, I said, take the oil. I didn't want to be there, but now we're there. I said, you're going to leave, take the oil. Take the oil. I kept saying it. And they said, you can't take the oil. What a terrible thing. This is a sovereign country. This is a country that was blown off the face of the earth. Sovereign. You had the leaders that we left behind were totally corrupt. They were totally corrupt. Horrible. Horrible. These were corrupt people. That's what happened with ISIS. They wouldn't include these people. And ISIS turned out to be a lot tougher and a lot smarter than the people we chose. They didn't include them. So who has the oil? Iran has the oil, and ISIS has the oil. What do we have? We spend years there. $2 trillion in cost. $2 trillion. Thousands of lives. Wounded warriors who we all love all over the place. What do we have? We have nothing. If our leaders would have gone away, elect them president, tell them to go away to the beach and just sun themselves for 4 years, we would have been better off. Now, Saddam Hussein was not a good person. Who cares? I'll tell you what he was great at. Killing terrorists. He would kill terrorists. Now Iraq is Harvard University for terrorists. You go to Iraq. You want to be a terrorist, you go to Iraq. It's Harvard. That's what they do. They kill. We don't do. They develop terrorists all over the place now. It is far worse than it was before we started. Now, in the meantime, we have our country. It's crumbling. You look at our airports. You look at our hospitals. You look at our roads and our highways. You look at our bridges. They're falling down. You look at our schools. Our country is falling apart. We've become third world in many respects.
Nobody can negotiate trade deals like me.
We are going to take the $400 billion a year that we're losing with China. That's going to be turned around. The $75 billion a year that we're short on with Japan. The $50 billion a year that we lose to Mexico. And that's right, there will be a wall built. It will go up, it will be built, and people will come into the country legally. So, I mean, I'm much different than, you look at Marco Rubio, very, very weak on illegal immigration. You look at Ben, he's very weak on immigration, and he wants to get rid of Medicare. I mean, Ben wants to get rid of Medicare. You can't get rid of Medicare. It'd be a horrible thing to get rid of. It actually works. You get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse. It works. So when a man is weak on immigration and wants to get rid of Medicare, I don't know how he stays there.
So today we had a lot of news, and it was all good. It never gets reported properly by these people back here. Look at all those press. Well, you know, I've learned two things more than anything else: how smart the people are and how bad and dishonest the press is, because it is really dishonest. It is really, really dishonest. So we had a lot of polls coming out today, and they were really good. That's right. You're my man. That's right. So we had a Monmouth poll, very highly respected. Trump, 41. Cruz, 14. And everyone else much lower. I mean, somewhere. So I heard today, when they announced the poll, 41-14, and I like Cruz, good guy. But I heard, here's how they announced: Cruz surging. So when I heard this was on television, Cruz surging, so I said, oh, I don't know, that sounds bad to me. Coming up, Cruz surging. Then they say the Monmouth poll was just done. Cruz is surging. Trump 41, Cruz 14. I said, wait a minute, what's going on? I tell you what, they are the most dishonest people. Then, you know about CNN. CNN came out just recently, 36-16. Gravis poll, highly respected, 42-16 to 12 to 11. So then today, it was very interesting because I did have one poll in Iowa, which I never expect to get. I can't stand the paper. It's a horrible paper. Des Moines Register, it's terrible. You know, of course I would never say they do this, but they have a very small sample. If they take about 10 votes and put them in their pocket, you understand that. So Des Moines Register was 21-31. All of a sudden, it was like the biggest story I've ever seen. Okay? That was just Iowa. Don't worry about it. It's Iowa. We love Iowa, but I think we're doing great in Iowa. And I expect to win Iowa. We think we're going to do great in Iowa. I get by far the biggest crowds. And okay. So then we had a CNN poll. So CNN today was talking about a poll that wasn't theirs. And I kept saying, why don't they talk about a poll that's theirs? So they just did this poll. It's a new poll. CNN in Iowa, Trump 33, Cruz 20, and then everyone else much lower. So we actually sent a couple of emails, started to tweet a little bit. You know, the Twitter's great when you have between 5 and 10 and 13. We have so many people. We have millions. So we started to tweet. We said, why is CNN not playing their poll? It's their poll. So if anybody has an idea, please let me know before the evening ends. Then we had a Fox News poll, which was a pretty good poll. It was pretty much tied. Then we had Quinnipiac. And Quinnipiac was 28, Trump 27, Cruz. In other words, we won. They call it a tie. They say it was tied. Okay. I mean, sort of win. You know the bottom line? I think we're going to win Iowa. I think we're going to win New Hampshire big. I think that, frankly, if we win Iowa, we run the table. I think, frankly, if we win New Hampshire, which we're way, way, way up, and South Carolina's been unbelievable. And by the way, in Nevada, we're winning big, big, big.
We're winning in Florida. We're winning everywhere. So I just want to let you know, this is not going to be a waste of anybody's time, believe me. This is going to be something special. Do I hear some noise over there? Yes, I do. Bye-bye. You know, look at all those cameras turned over there. They only turn when there's a protester. They never, no, they are the worst. They only turn when there's a protester. They never, ever turn unless there's a protester. Yeah, get him out of here, please. Please, thank you. Get him out. What is our country coming to? It's unbelievable. No, it's unbelievable. You know the truth, though? I'll be honest. We should have been doing that for the last 7 years. I give them credit. I don't know why we don't. I don't know why we don't. We have a silent majority that's actually a noisy majority, but we should have been doing what they're doing for the last 7 years. Because what's happening to our country is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. So, all right, thank you. Good job. I love you, too. I love you. I do love you. That's why I'm doing this. I had such a nice life. I had such an easy life. Now I'm doing this. Give me a break. We're going to make America great again, folks. We're going to make America great. And with me, there's no super PACs. There's no phony money all over the place. I'm funding my campaign. You got to see this. These people, $125 million super PAC, I guarantee you whoever it is, you know who it is, right? But there are many of them. There are many of them. They have all of this money in super PACs. The super PACs totally control the candidate. They totally control the candidate. If they want something, they get something. And if it's not to your benefit, they couldn't care less. They don't care. Believe me. And that's what's sick about the system. And frankly, 6 months ago, I was on the other side. I was like the fair-haired boy. I gave $350,000 to the Republican Governors Association. I was on the other side. I was like establishment. Can you believe it? Now I'm a politician. I hate the term. I'm a politician. I'll never be a politician. I don't want to be a politician. Don't want to be a politician. They had one case where a super PAC, for a nice guy, he's a nice guy, so I'm not going to mention his name, but it was on the front page of the Los Angeles Times. A super PAC raised $6 million. By the time everybody took their slice and their cut, they were left with $140,000 for the campaign. Think of it. Now, that's a pretty good business. You guys ought to try it sometime. Pretty good.
At a Wisconsin town hall meeting in April, Trump galvanized the local crowd with his positions on NATO, international security, trade agreements, and America's ever-spiraling national debt.
And you know our theme, Make America Great Again. Folks, we're going to make it so great. But here's what I want to explain. We always have a problem. It's a problem in translation because the press is so totally dishonest. I mean, you have no idea. No, you have no idea. It's amazing how smart the people are. He said, you got that right. Look, the people get it. They are really, really dishonest. They'll put like 1/10 of a sentence in. They'll cut you off. And worse are cameras. You know, I always used to say, I love doing television because if you do television, it's that. Well, then they show like a tiny piece of a clip. It's almost worse than the way they write. But the press is very dishonest. So let me just tell you what happened. So, you know, NAFTA has been a total disaster, right? It's drained businesses. Well, now we have a new one called TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. It is so bad, it's worse than NAFTA. It's worse than NAFTA. It will drain Wisconsin. It will drain the United States. We're doing it with various countries, all put together, a 7,000-page document that I almost guarantee you nobody in our country has ever read, and those countries, from Asia mostly, are all, every word is like studied and analyzed, and we just sign it. First of all, we shouldn't sign with 12 countries. We should sign 1, 2, 3, 4, and we reward the good countries. This way the bad countries come in and they take advantage of the good countries. It's too complicated. It's a stupid deal. Ted Cruz is totally in favor of it because people want him to be in favor of it. Kasich, who voted for NAFTA, is in favor of it because people say, you're going to vote for that deal, you're in favor of it, because they support him and he has no choice. And that deal is a horrible deal. And you have liberals that want it, and you have conservatives, and then you have plenty of people in Congress that don't want it, okay? But those are the ones that are being honest. And the biggest single point of the deal is monetary manipulation, devaluation of the currency. And that's how China and many other countries take the most advantage of, is devaluation of their currency. They kill us. This year we're going to have a $500 billion trade deficit with China. Then somebody will say, so look, I'm really a good businessman. I'm so good at business. Oh, you people are going to be so rich so fast, you don't even... You don't know how rich you're going to be. You're going to go from a debtor nation, it's going to be, you're going to say, wow, what happened? But look, you have Ted Cruz that refused to approve any language on devaluation, any language on monetary manipulation. That's where they beat us, folks. They devalue their currency so much, and then we see our dollar holding and going up. They want our dollar to go up. It sounds good. But in the meantime, Komatsu is killing Caterpillar. In the meantime, China, look what they're doing. They're draining our businesses. Look at what's going on, and look at what's going on with Mexico. Mexico is taking our businesses not only for devaluation, for a lot of other reasons. The biggest is that our politicians don't know what the hell they're doing, or contributions, okay? So look, we are going to change things, and that's big money. Those are trade deals. I have Carl Icahn, great businessman. We have the greatest business people in the world in this country. We don't use them. We use political hacks, third-rate political slobs, to negotiate with the smartest people in China, the smartest people in Japan. And we have all the cards. People don't realize it. Without our money, without this big pot of money that's being drained out of your pocket. And by the way, I have to do this because I just feel I have to. I want to read you some statistics. You know, you're going to say, oh, well, you're going to know about it. So where am I talking about? 20% of the manufacturing jobs have left since 2000. You know where that is? Wisconsin. According to the Journal Sentinel, Wisconsin chronically lags. Now look at this. Wisconsin chronically lags the rest of the United States in job creation. That's not what you hear. Here's what happened with Scott Walker, and I can only say this because I couldn't ask for his endorsement. I mean, what I did to that poor guy. Man. No, what I did to him. And he's a nice person, but who cares? I don't care if he's nice. I want to make our country rich and good again. We put out a statement today. We watched this, and it's impossible to watch this gross incompetence that I watched last night. And we put out a statement a little while ago, and these people are going crazy. They won't report it properly. Shall I read you the statement? Donald J. Trump is calling for, now listen, you got to listen to this one because this is pretty heavy stuff, and it's common sense, and we have to do it. Remember the poll numbers, 25%, 51%. Remember the poll numbers. Okay, so remember this. So listen. Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice. We have no choice. According to Pew Research, among others, there is a great hatred toward Americans by large segments of the Muslim population. Most recently, a poll from Center for Security Policy released data showing 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans, these are people that are here, by the way, people here, 25, not 1%. By the way, 1% would be unacceptable. 1% is unacceptable. 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans here in the United States is justified as part, think of that, as part of the global jihad. They want to change your religion. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not going to happen. As part of the global jihad, and 51% of those polled agreed that Muslims in America should have the choice of being governed according to Sharia. You know what Sharia is? 51%. Sharia authorizes, and look, this is, I mean, it's terrible. Sharia authorizes such atrocities as murder against non-believers who won't convert, beheadings, and more unthinkable acts that pose great harm to Americans, especially women. I mean, you look, especially women. Tough stuff. And we have a president that won't even mention the term. And you're talking about numbers like this. Mr. Trump stated, without looking at the various polling data, it's obvious to anybody the hatred is beyond comprehension of such a big portion. Where the hatred comes from and why, we will have to determine. We're going to have to figure it out. We have to figure it out. We can't live like this. It's going to get worse and worse. You're going to have more World Trade Centers. It's going to get worse and worse, folks. We can be politically correct and we can be stupid, but it's going to get worse and worse. Until we are able to determine and understand this problem and the dangerous threat it poses, our country cannot be the victim of horrendous attacks by people that believe only in jihad. These are people who only believe in jihad. They don't want our system. They don't want our system. And have no sense of reason or respect for human life. They have no respect for human life.
As the weeks rolled on, the other Republican hopefuls fell away one by one, suspending their campaigns and returning to the drawing board as the Trump train continued gaining steam from coast to coast. Finally, with only Texas' Ted Cruz and Ohio's John Kasich left standing against him, Trump appeared at the Pennsylvania rally, addressing a public pact between his two rivals, wherein they agreed not to campaign against one another in remaining states in an effort to block Trump from steamrolling to the party's nomination.
So I went on. Senator Cruz has done very poorly, especially with getting votes. He can't get votes. And after his New York performance, which was a total disaster, he was in a free fall. And, you know, he reacts very badly under pressure. He chokes under pressure. Boy, does he choke like a dog. Also, approximately 80%, which is true, might be high, approximately 80% of the Republican Party right now, because I actually think the 20% is high, is against him. And against Kasich, it's even worse. Now, Kasich, he's only got, one state out of 41. So he's 1 for 41. Now, I'll tell you something. I had a dirty poll given to me. Florida and Ohio were being done at the same time, right? And I was winning Florida by a lot, even though I was running against actually a good guy, Marco Rubio. By this time, Bush had dropped out. And, you know, it was set up because when they heard that Trump was running, they changed it. Because let me tell you, we have a rigged system. We have a corrupt system. This whole thing with the delegates is ridiculous. And you have to go out and you have to get your beautiful delegate card and you have to vote for your delegates, the delegates. It's crazy. You know, it'd be nice if you could just go out and vote. We can win this state. I mean, we're way up in the polls. Don't let that fool you. Go out tomorrow and vote. Don't let it fool you. But here's the story. And they just said, Mr. Trump, when you go up there, can you please tell them to take their card, vote for the Trump delegates? I said, that's not like a cool thing to say during a speech. Vote for the Trump delegates. Okay, now I've done my job. You know, it'd be nice if you could just vote and just be done with it. But the system is so complicated. Now we have a great head of the Republican Party, so we're very lucky. And we have some great people, and we have some amazing delegates, and they're going to do a great job. But here's the story. Here's the story. Thank you. I love you, too. Look at this guy. All right. And you know, the Kasich thing is interesting, because here's a guy that just says, I'm going to stay. Like a stubborn, like if you have a child who's a spoiled brat, where they go, I don't care, Daddy. Get out of the room, Daddy. I don't care. This is like a spoiled guy. If you look at it, Ben Carson, who's endorsed me, did much better. I mean, he was tough. And Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson, great. He did better. Chris Christie, who endorsed me, did better. Marco Rubio did much better. I mean, you look at Marco Rubio, he has more delegates right now than Kasich has, and he's been in the race for a shorter period of time. It's just a guy that said, I don't care, I'm staying. And then you see him eating in the morning. You ever see? I have never seen. He's stuffing pancakes in his mouth like this. And I'm always telling my boy, take small bites, Barrett, little tiny bites. And yesterday he said, Daddy, who's that guy on television? That's disgusting. Did you ever see? And then they talk about presidential. Oh, I see, he's president. He puts pancakes this big in his mouth and he's shoving them in. This is not a presidential person. Look, look. But Marco Rubio has more delegates. But you have many. I mean, Jeb Bush could have stayed. A lot of people could have just said, I don't care. They have no path to victory, folks. And I'm going to win on the first ballot. I don't care about what's going on with the second. You know, the press, I don't care. I don't care. It's a crooked system. So how would you like to have this? Trump wins by 4 or 5 million votes. You see California, I'm at 49%. We're going out to Indiana, and the people of Indiana are smart. And the people of Indiana know that I've been speaking about for 4 months the horrible treatment that Carrier Air Conditioning gave to the people that work for them and to the people of Indianapolis, Indiana, when they said, you're all fired, every one of you are fired, we're moving to Mexico.
Finally, it was time for the crucial Indiana primaries. And though Donald Trump's ideologies had done nothing but garner more and more support on the campaign trail, the outcome was even more striking and decisive than anyone could have predicted.
Advance, I got it right from you folks, okay? 60,000. In fact, 2 weeks ago it was 55,000. Now it's 60,000 negative ads, most of which are absolutely false and disgusting. And I said, how can anybody endure this? I had one evening 2 nights ago where literally they had 5 ads on in between segments of a show that I was watching. And I said, that's just incredible. And the people are so smart. They don't buy it. They get it. And tremendous amounts of money were spent. Millions and millions of dollars. And they were comparing it. They think it was probably $8 million was spent against me. And we spent $900,000. So, I mean, to me, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's something that makes me feel really, really very good. And now we're going to Nebraska, where I just hear we're doing really wonderfully. I look forward to that very much. And West Virginia, and we're going to get those miners back to work. I'll tell you what, we're going to get those miners back to work. We're not going to be Hillary Clinton. And I watched her 3 or 4 weeks ago when she was talking about the miners as if they were just numbers. And she was talking about she wants the mines closed and she will never let them work again. Let me tell you, the miners in West Virginia and Pennsylvania, which was so great to me last week, and Ohio, and all over, they're going to start to work again, believe me.
You're going to be proud again to be miners. So we'll be going there. I must say, this tremendous run that we've had started with New York when we had almost 62%. And don't forget, that's with 3 people. So 62% with 2 people is a massive landslide, but 63%, almost just a little over 62. When you have that kind of a number with 3 people, it's actually unheard of. And all throughout, it was 17 people, then 15, then 12, and, you know, it's tremendous. And we were getting very high numbers. And some of the numbers, in my opinion, that I got in the early stages where I'd win a state with 32%, but there were 14 people. I think that might be actually more and better than getting 62% in New York. But we never got credit for that. But now we don't need the credit because we're going after Hillary Clinton. She will not. She will not be a great president. She will not be a good president. She will be a poor president. She doesn't understand trade. Her husband signed, perhaps in the history of the world, the single worst trade deal ever done. It's called NAFTA. And I was witness to the carnage over the last 6 weeks especially. Now, I've known Syracuse, and I've known Poughkeepsie, and I've known all of the different places that I visited in New York, and then Pennsylvania, and then Maryland, which treated me so great, and the people are incredible, and all of the different states, Connecticut, and I've witnessed what it's done really firsthand, and it has been indeed carnage. And we're going to change it around. We're not going to let Carrier and all of these companies just think that they can move, go to another country, make their product, sell it back to us, and we get only one thing. We get unemployment. Not going to happen anymore, folks. Not going to happen anymore.
Following his resounding primary victory, Trump appeared before a raucous West Virginia crowd and wasted no time targeting Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton's stance on eliminating the American coal industry. The reaction was, understandably, electric.
You want to open the mines. We're going to open the mine. I see over here, Trump digs coal. Look at that. Trump digs coal. That's true. That's true. I do. So I've always been fascinated by it. I've been fascinated by the whole sequence of doing it. It's incredible, the engineering now that's involved and the safety and all that's taken place over the last number of years, especially over the last 10 years. And all of it's getting safe. And as it gets safe, they're taking it away from you in a different way. And I just think you're amazing people. And you watch what happens. If I win, we're going to bring those miners back. You're going to be so proud of your president. You're going to be so proud of your country. You watch. And the other night, you know, we had a big night. We won Indiana. And that was a great night. And I had so much help. Bobby Knight, boy, did he help me. Wow, Bobby Knight. And we had Lou Holtz, and we had the great coach from Purdue. We had a lot of people, Digger Phelps. But I'll tell you, Bobby went, and he called me like a year ago. And Bobby is Indiana. Won 900 games, won 3 championships, won the Olympics, won the Pan Am Games. And about a year ago, before I was going to run, because I've been doing this like for 9.5, 10 months, before I really made up my mind, I get a call from Bobby Knight, who I never met, but I know Bobby Knight. He's tough. He's smart, and he knows how to win. That's a good combination, right? By the way, that's what the country needs. And he calls me up, and I recognize his voice immediately. He goes, Mr. Trump, this is Bobby Knight. I hope you run. I said, Bobby, run for what? Okay? Because I'm telling you, I was 3-4 months away. He said, I hope you run, Mr. Trump. You run for president. You are going to make this country great again. I've been following. And you know what he is? He's an expert on talent. He's talent. And he said, I just hope you run. I said, well, you know, Bobby, I really appreciate it. I haven't made up my mind yet. But I'd love your number, and let me call you back if I decide to run. He said, well, you have my support. Call me back. So, a lot of time goes by.
And then the races, and I'm winning and winning and doing really great. But you've been hearing me say it's a rigged system, but now I don't say it anymore because I won. Okay? It's true. Now I don't care. I don't care. And the only way I won was I won by such big margins because it is a rigged system. But the only way you can do it's like a boxer. You got to knock him out. Then you can't worry about the judges. But it's true. I tell that story. You knock him out and you don't have to worry about the judges, right? And I won by so much. And what happened with Bobby is a friend of mine from Indiana, the Hilberts. I said, who would be a good endorsement? Because this was so long ago that Bobby called. He said, well, Bobby Knight would be the greatest endorsement you could get, but, I doubt you could get Bobby Knight. I said, I think I can. So I'm sitting at my desk and I'm looking through all the stuff. I didn't put it on iPhones, right? I like the notes better, right? The old-fashioned bum, put it under a pile of stuff, right? And I'm sitting at my desk and I look and there it is, Bobby Knight. And I call him up. And he picks up the phone, and we're just about ready to go to Indiana. And he goes, I've been waiting for you to call. I said, that's right, Bobby. You're going to end up for growth. They came to my office. They asked me for $1 million. I said, I'm not interested. And then they advertised against me. I mean, can you believe that? It's called Welcome to the World of Politics. So I'm looking, and one ad after another. And I said to my people, there's no way we can win. They spent $9 million or so. They had thousands of these ads in Indiana. I called my people. I said, there's no way. I just watched a program. At an intermission, they had 4 ads, all negative ads to Trump. And my guy said, no, you're going to win. I said, all right, let's see. And we won Indiana in a landslide. It was amazing. Amazing. It was amazing. And Bobby and all of the guys, they were incredible. That endorsement, though, was an amazing endorsement because he's revered in Indiana. And outside of Indiana, they know who Bobby Knight is because he's, generally speaking, beat your basketball teams. It's one of those things. So that was great. And then a couple of weeks before that, I won New York in a landslide. And New York is good. Won everything. And the nice part about New York is they know me well. And the same thing with the ads. Negative ads, negative ads. You know that thing, never Trump. You know why it's never Trump? Because I'm going to stop the gravy train for all these consultants and all of these people that are ripping off our country. It's called the gravy train. So, never Trump. By the way, a lot of these never Trumps are calling up, Mr. Trump, I admire you greatly, sir. We'd love to join the campaign. I said, didn't you do a horrible ad of me 2 weeks ago? And weren't you on a show where you said horrible things? I said, how do you pivot from that to saying you think I'm a wonderful person? He said, no problem, sir. You know why? Politicians, they can do that. I have a hard time doing it. They can do it. So now it's really caught on and everyone's happy. And then we had, as you know, 2 weeks ago, we had 5. We had Maryland, which was unbelievable. All victories by landslides. We had Maryland, Pennsylvania, where the miners are there, and the miners there are just absolutely, they're dying for work. They're dying for work, and they're great people. They're great people. I don't know if they're as good as the West Virginia miners. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know who's better. I don't know. They're damn good, but they're great people, and dying for work. And I was in Pittsburgh and I was around Pennsylvania. So we won Pennsylvania, we won Connecticut. And in Connecticut, I won everything from Greenwich to the poorest areas. They said he won Greenwich. We have very wealthy people. And he won the poorest areas, won everything. I won with men. I won with women. Very important. Boy. These people, the media is the most dishonest group of people. But boy, they're killing me with the women, and I think I'm doing great. Every state I've won with women, big league. So I've won with men and women. I've won with rich and poor, highly educated, less than highly educated, white, African American. We've won with every category. So I won the 5 states. And then I won Indiana. So we won all of this stuff. And then it was all of a sudden like they just had enough. They couldn't stand Trump winning. And they couldn't stand the fact that a person that has never done this politically before, and a person that's self-funding his campaign, I don't take the contributions. And by the way, for the general election, I'm going to help raise money for the party, and they'll work with us. But we're going to need, I hear the Democrats are going to raise $2 billion. You believe it? This is politics, $2 billion. And I'm also going to put in a lot of money in the general. But we're helping to raise money. We have a great group, and we're raising money for the party. And we're going to get a lot of other people elected with us, I will tell you. So it's been amazing, folks. It's been amazing. And that's when, this was going to be next. And I really wanted to come here, and I just didn't have the heart to say, thanks a lot, West Virginia. I didn't have the heart. By the way, I have a team of people that were so great, and they were so disappointed that I won early. They wanted to win like now, so they get a little of the credit. I said, hey, we just picked up all the delegates. We don't have to do anything, right? But I'm just glad to be here because I love you people. The real people. You're the real people. You made this country great. Remember that. You made this country great. They didn't have ridiculous regulations that put you out of business. They didn't have these ridiculous rules and regulations that make it impossible for you to compete. So we're going to take that all off the table, folks, and you better do well, and you better compete and make me proud of you, okay? You'll be proud of me. But make me proud of you.
Speaking to ABC News, George Stephanopoulos, after the big win, Trump addressed the well-publicized divisions within the Republican Party. His ideas on finding unity with House Speaker Paul Ryan, and again, his plan to bolster America's diminished position in international trade.
He's the Speaker of the House. He's the highest-ranking elected Republican in the country right now. He's the chairman of the convention. Back in March, you said he'd pay a price if he didn't get along with you. What is that price?
Well, we're going to see what happens. He wants to meet. He'd like to meet, and I think we're meeting on Thursday, and we'll just see what happens. It's just more drama, but I think it's a mistake not to do this. We want to bring the party together. Does the party have to be together? Does it have to be unified? I'm very different than everybody else, perhaps that's ever run for office. I actually don't think so. I think that
it doesn't have to be unified?
No, I don't think so. I think it would be better if it were unified. I think it would be there would be something good about it, but I don't think it actually has to be unified in the traditional sense. I'm going to do what I have to do. I have millions of people that voted for me because I have strong borders, because I want strong trade. I want good trade. I want trade. I don't want to be an isolationist, but what's happening with China, what's happening with Japan, what's happening with Mexico, they're just absolutely eating our lunch. It's a shame. It's terrible. So I have to stay true to my principles also. And I'm a conservative, but don't forget, this is called the Republican Party. It's not called the Conservative Party. You know, there are conservative parties. This is called the Republican Party. I am a conservative.
It was Plato who said, "The measure of a man is what he does with power." And after a lifetime in the spotlight, entrepreneur,